and welcome to episode 97 of the Giddy podcast. As always, I am Helen and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys, Arthur, who is 7, and Jasper, who is 4. Today is Sunday the 20th of June and this is my crafting podcast. For anyone that is new, I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, and during this podcast I normally just chat about all the crafting that I've been up to, what I've been working on. So this week I've got just some announcements, just a quick chat about our make-alongs that we've got running. I will share some knitting and crafting progress with you. I've got a little bit of Yarny Goodness to share this week as well. And then I'll finish up with a few little bits of shop news. If you are a regular viewer and you've been watching over the last few weeks, you will know that we are imminently about to move house, which is why the background is looking a little bit bare. I vended at 2 virtual shows last weekend, I think it was, and I had to create some kind of stall to have during my Instagram live backdrops, and I used my shelves to kind of put yarn on and create a little bit of a display. And I just thought to myself, seeing as we're moving so soon, I would pack everything on those shelves rather than take it down and then put it back up again. So we have empty shelves behind us. I've yet to take down all the postcards because they're still brightening up the walls, but anyway. We're due to get the keys to our new house on Friday, so it's all exciting. There's lots of packing, lots of chaos. You might notice the lighting's a bit different because I haven't set up my studio light. I usually have a studio light set up kind of just there to counteract the window at the side, but just with all the chaos of packing and everything, I haven't done that yet. But I wanted to come on and do a podcast today because it's not likely that I will be able to get a podcast done next week, just because of we're going to spend next weekend getting things sorted for decorating and all of that kind of stuff for the new house. The weekend after I should just about be able to record a podcast, but then the weekend after that my parents will be here. I think they'll still be here, and we'll have moved and it's going to be chaos. Anyway, slightly irregular podcasting schedule over probably the next couple of months, in all honesty, because we've got the school holidays as well. Right, random rambling. What else was I going to say? School holiday wise, in Scotland, where I'm based, obviously, the kids break up from school on Friday. So just to time it beautifully with us moving house and everything like that, they break up on Friday and they're off until mid-August before they go back. So yeah, hence also slightly irregular podcasting schedule, because the next few months are going to be a little bit chaotic. Should we actually talk some crafting podcasty stuff before I just ramble constantly about moving house and all of that kind of thing? Right, announcements. What announcements have I got? Make-alongs. We've got 2 make-alongs running at the moment. So the Giddy Yarns make-along is my ongoing constant make-along that is always running, and any projects that you complete that use at least 50% of my yarn are eligible to be entered in that make-along. You can enter any of my make-alongs on Ravelry, Instagram, or in our Mighty Networks group. Links to all of those places, as well as details of how to enter make-alongs and stuff like that, will be in the description box underneath the video. I probably won't get full show notes, but I will make sure that all the links and everything are still there. The next prize draw for the Giddy Yarns make-along, because it's quarterly, will be at the end of June. I probably won't actually announce or draw the prizes until mid-July, but I'll still use June 30th for a cut-off date on that one, because I can just select the dates, basically. And then the other make-along that we currently have running is our book-along, which is so fun. I've really enjoying seeing all your projects or what you're coming up with. The book-along is basically any craft. So you can use cross-stitch, knitting, crochet, embroidery, weaving, spinning, pretty much any craft at all. And as long as your project can be linked in some way to a fiction book, then you can enter to be in with a chance of winning a prize. The end date for that was going to be the 30th of June, but because of moving and knowing when I'm going to be able to podcast and stuff like that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the end date until July 16th. So you'll have a good 2 weeks more, and then when I podcast on the 17th, I'll be able to draw the prizes and announce winners and stuff then. So I will give you a couple of extra weeks to get your projects finished. Again, you can enter all of those on Instagram, in the Ravelry group and in the Mighty Networks group, and the links and details will all be down underneath the video. Prizes for that, we have got a number of prizes. I've shared a couple of them on the podcast already. We've got a lovely skein of yarn which was donated by Eva of Perth Festival of Yarn, and it's a skein of dye candy, and the name of the colourway has completely escaped me. I don't have it to hand to share with you this week. We also have a lovely skein of yarn that was very kindly donated by Ellie at Craft House Magic. And that's part of her Music from the Movies sock club. And we've received another donation today, which is this gorgeous project bag. And this is from S, I think that's how I say your name, from So Yarnalicious. And it's, how amazing is this fabric? Once things have calmed down and I've moved and all the chaos has ensued and I've got some headspace again, I will be getting in touch with S and seeing if I can order a project bag of my own in this fabric, because it is perfect. Look at that, knitting and books. Isn't that fantastic? So this is a lovely prize. She's very, very kindly donated it. It's got a fantastic little boxed bottom. It's a lovely little sort of small project size. It's got poppers to seal, and then a really nice handle, so you could actually knit and walk and knit from this one. Absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for the donation. I will put details of where you can find So Yarnalicious on various internet places. I will pop those down below for you in case you want to get hold of one of her project bags. That she does some amazing fabrics, and she will also be vending at Perth this year, I spotted the other day, and from what I can gather from her websites, all of her bags are made to order, so they're really customizable. So if you see a fabric that you love, you can get in touch. And yeah, absolutely gorgeous project bag. So thank you very much for the donation, and I'm excited that one of you gets to win it. Let's actually talk some knitting, shall we? Progress, works in progress. I don't have any finished objects, and I don't have masses of knitting progress on very many things this week, I'm afraid, because busy, chaos, headspace, and all of those things. But I have made a little bit of progress on my Raven shawl. And I think I moved the stitch marker, so you should be able to see the progress. It's not masses, but here we go. So last time I shared this with you, I was just where that little rainbow sheep is. This is a stitch marker, I'm hoping that's focused, a stitch marker from Hannah at the corner of craft. And this pattern is the Raven shawl, which I've mentioned before. It's by Liz Ward Crochet. It was very kindly gifted to me. And I'm knitting it up as a sample using my BFL silk blend, which is gorgeous. I'm using amethyst and emerald, and I'm really enjoying how this is working up. So it has eyelet sections. You can just see here, I've done kind of the first set of eyelets there, and then we've got some stripes, and then we're going into more eyelets again. It's a really easy to follow pattern, relatively simple for quite a complex looking pattern, if that makes sense. So yeah, I put a little bit of progress into this. I will move the stitch marker. I find that the eyelet rows slow me down a little bit, but that's just me. That's not the pattern. I'm just really rubbish at doing eyelet rows on any pattern ever. It's the thing that's put me off knitting the habitation throw, because I know that there's just loads of eyelet rows in it, and there's just something about eyelet rows that always slow me down. But yeah, that is my Raven shawl, which is still getting some progress on it. I am looking forward to, hopefully later in the summer, once we've moved and things have settled down, and I might actually find a little bit of time to get knitting again. We will see. What else? My picnic blanket socks, again, very minimal progress, but I can't remember, had I finished the leg? I think I'd finished the legs on both of them last week. So all I've done is added one heel. So yeah, I've got the leg of this one finished, and I've got the leg of this one finished, and then I have added a heel. But I really like how this heel is looking. I'm really glad that I went for the kind of little speckled colourway for this one. The pattern is the Picnic Blanket Socks, which is a Helen Stewart pattern. It's part of her Sock Society club for this year. And the yarn I'm using is a Henny Penny Makes colourway, and I think this one was called Faded Christmas. The mini skein is also a Henny Penny Makes mini skein, and I think this was one of the Flower Power Fund ones she did. But I just picked it out because I thought the colours would go quite well, and they do, they go beautifully. So I'm really happy with that. And I'm going to do the heels and the toes, I think, in this mini. But I am now, on this one at least, I am now onto simple, just straight knitting down the foot. There's no pattern added to the foot. So it should be pretty mindless and easy to pick up. Because I'm working on them concurrently though, I do want to get the heel put into this one before I carry on down the foot of this one. And I think that's why I've not picked them up again, because I know that when I pick them up, I need to do a heel, and that obviously involves just a little bit of thought, not too much thought. Maybe I was going to say maybe I'll do it this afternoon, but we'll see. I've got some work to get done this afternoon because I am desperately trying to catch up and get ahead of myself with clubs and treat boxes and all of that kind of stuff, so that I can get them shipped at the end of this week rather than having them hanging over me while we're trying to move house. So that is my picnic blanket socks. I feel like I've just stalled so much on sock knitting this year. I was doing really well at the beginning of the year, and I was knitting loads and loads of socks, and then I don't think I finished a pair in like 3 months. So yeah, I've definitely stalled a little bit. The other thing I've been working on is I started my love note. Now, I shared the swatch last episode, I believe, and I have cast it on, but somehow I've got my stitch numbers completely wrong, and I haven't got round to sitting down and working out what I've done wrong. I've also not quite followed the pattern. So I was chatting to some friends about their love notes and whether or not I could just start it. And so with the love note, basically you start with a provisional cast on, and you knit the body, and then you come back and you pick up that provisional cast on, and then you do the neck that way round. But I didn't really fancy doing a provisional cast on, so I thought to myself, well, I'll just do the neck and reverse engineer that last little bit. And I'm not sure that it was a good idea, to be honest, because I've now got completely out on stitch count numbers, and I'm not sure that my neck is actually going to be big enough to go over my head comfortably. So I think, honestly, this needs ripping out. I think it does. But I'm really happy with how the colourways are knitting up. So I am using my Neptune colourway on my DK base. And that is knitting up very, very nicely. As somebody pointed out in the last episode, with the stitch gauge that I was getting, my garment wouldn't be smaller, which is what I was thinking it would be. It would actually be slightly bigger, but or at least I think that's the way round. I'd got it in my head. I'd said it wrong. Basically, whatever I said last week, I said it wrong, and it was the opposite, but it didn't matter because it would still be fine with the positive ease allowances within the pattern and the size that I'm knitting. Something like that, I think. Anyway, so I think I'm going to rip this out. and start again and just follow the pattern properly and see if I can't get it to work right that way. If there's no fault of the pattern at all, it's because I didn't follow the pattern and I tried to be clever, and I knew I shouldn't have tried to be clever because I should have just followed the pattern. But yeah, I'm using my Neptune colourway and I'm loving how this is knitting up. I have just started, in fact you can see at this point here, so about here. Oh, it's not showing you very well, am I? What am I doing? It's all gone inside out and wonky. At this point here, I started to alternate skeins, and actually for the first time what I'm doing is I'm alternating skeins using helical knitting. So it's, if you've not heard of helical knitting, it's a way of alternating skeins that doesn't leave you with a seam, because normally what I would do is I would knit 2 rows in with each ball of yarn, and then I would just basically work it like a 2-row stripes, but I would end up with a bit of a seam in one place, so either under the arm or down the back, depending on where the beginning of the round is on the garment. But a number of people have mentioned helical knitting and I've seen it all over the place, and I thought, right, I'm going to try it this time, because it doesn't give you that seam, because basically what it does is it shifts the point at which you change colours by 3 stitches every round. And it is very simple, and it's working very well. So I will continue to do that, definitely. But yeah, in case you're curious for helical knitting, Grace of Babel's Travelling Yarns has an amazing YouTube tutorial where she shows you how to do it, and that's what I followed just to kind of get an idea. It's very simple. And don't be kind of put off by it. But yeah, so I'm going to alternate between the skeins because obviously I'm using hand-dyed yarn, and there can be variances between skeins in hand-dyed yarn. So when you're knitting a garment or a larger project where you're going to be using the 2 skeins kind of next to each other, it's well worth alternating skeins, because it just stops there being an obvious change from one ball to the next. It works well as well if you're working from different dye batches of commercial yarn. Sometimes that can be quite useful. I certainly, one of the first garments that I knit for Arthur when he was a toddler, I didn't know anything about batches, dye batches or dye lots or anything like that. And although I was using like a commercial acrylic yarn, I didn't know this, and I run out and I went to the shop and bought another commercial acrylic exactly the same, and the dye lots were different, and there was actually a visible line where I'd changed between the 2 different dye lots. So it does still happen in commercial yarn as well. Anyway, that's my love note. It looks like I've made progress. I'm gonna rip it out and I'm gonna start again, because I don't think it's working, and I think that's going to be easier than trying to solve the problem. What else was I going to talk about? That's all the kind of standard works in progress that I've been working on at the moment. I've still got my dragon and I am desperate. I just need to dye up some minis to do the contrasty bits on my dragon, and I just haven't got round to it yet. And it's probably not going to happen until we've moved, to be honest, because I won't have time to fit in any extra dyeing this week. So yeah, once we moved, I will do that. So unfortunately, my dragon is on the back burner a little bit at the moment because I need more yarn for it and I need to dye the yarn. What else have I not got? My gnome, I still haven't done the arms and legs for my gnome. I need to do that. Mind you, I don't know if it has legs. They don't normally have legs. One of them has legs. I don't know. I still haven't done the arms and the accessories and stuff like that for my gnome. Again, I just need to sit down and do it. It's not going to take me long, but just timing and everything like that. And there's other projects. There's other projects that are just sitting there waiting to be worked on and not getting worked on, but oh well. I have made some blanket progress though on a few bits and pieces. So first of all, oh, it's got caught in the blanket behind me. There we go. First of all, I think I shared my finished orange square from the Henny Penny Makes Colour Therapy Club last week, and I have cast on the yellow square and made a reasonable amount of progress on it actually. Annoyingly, this is actually on the needles, which means it's not going to be the easiest to show you. But I am on the 6th square for the yellow square. I'm following the Stitch in Time blanket pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I've got one actually which has been bordered. So with that pattern, basically you create a block of 9 mitered squares and then you border them. And then that's your blocks which you then join together. As I've said before, I've stopped bordering them because I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to put the blanket together. I think I want it bigger than 12 blocks. So I need to have a little think and decide whether I do more blocks, and what I'm going to do. So I think what I'm going to do is throughout this year, with the Colour Therapy Club, I'm going to create all of the blocks for that. So far we've got pink, we've got red, we've got orange. I'm working on the yellow. I've got the green. So let me just take out, sorry for the crinkling. Try to take out the bits of paper. So I've got the green pack that's arrived as well. So they're the green ones. And then I think what I'm going to do is work through these blocks and add all of these blocks. And then at the end of the year, I'll have a think about the size of the blanket, whether I want it to be that size or whether I want it to be bigger. And then if I want it to be bigger, I'll have to make a decision as to what I do and how I make it bigger. But I'm enjoying working on these blocks so far. They're nice and simple because it's quite nice as well, because when you finish a block, you kind of feel like you finished something, even though there's obviously still quite a long way to go on the blanket. So yeah, I am working, as I said, I've just dropped it on the floor. Working, as I said, on the yellow block at the moment. And as you can see, this has been getting a reasonably large amount of progress on it because it's just quite simple and quite mindless, and it's easy to just pick up and do a little bit. Yeah, which is, I think, what I need at the moment, to be honest. Definitely what I need at the moment. Right, so that's that one. The other thing I've picked up, the other blanket that I've been making some progress on, just again, because simple and mindless is what I need. And that is my Hexagon blanket, living in my lovely So Can Joe project bag. Isn't it brilliant? This is the Perth Festival of Yarn one she did. And actually, I saw in yesterday's Perth vendors reveal that Jo is actually going to be vending. She's going to be selling her bags at Perth Festival of Yarn as well. So that's really cool. And I'm looking forward to seeing what bags she comes up with. I'm also vending. Have I mentioned that? I know I've kind of mentioned on the podcast about it, but I probably wasn't supposed to have. I got a bit confused by that one. But anyway, Perth hopefully will be going ahead in person. The plan is for an in-person event in September, and I will be one of the in-person vendors. So yeah, Hexagon bag. No, Hexagon blanket. I have added a few hexagons to this, I think, since only 2, so maybe I haven't. 3. I've added 3. So I have added this one here. I have added this blue here, and I've also added this sparkly one here as well. So it is slowly growing. It's a relatively slow progress because each hexagon is 10 grams of yarn. So it takes me, you know, it's not like I can sit there in an evening and crank out kind of 5 or 6 of them. It usually, I get kind of maybe 1.5 or something done in an evening. But they're mindless, and I'm joining it as I go, which I really like because obviously that's going to make it a lot easier to complete. It's not like I'm creating all the squares and then having to join them all together. So it will grow as I complete squares. The blanket will grow, and I'm really enjoying picking the colours out and putting them together, and doing bits and pieces with it. So yeah, my hexagon blanket is going to be getting a little bit of love. The other blanket that I've pulled out, I've not worked on this, but I was tidying up a few bits and pieces, and I was kind of in search of boxes for various bits and pieces, and a lot of my knitting downstairs in the lounge was living in one of my little wooden boxes, one of these boxes here. But I needed the box for, actually, I needed the box for cakes of yarn, because I'm in the process of starting the preparations towards dyeing more self-striping, which will be coming with me to Perth. But my first step in that process is to cake all the yarn. And I filled one of these boxes. So that one's got 24 skeins of yarn in, and was full. And I needed another box to start filling up with caked skeins ready for warping. Anyway, this is a long tangent to say that I had one of these boxes next to where my knitting is all sort of stored in the lounge, and it had my Cozy Memories blanket in it. And I've not really touched my Cozy Memories blanket for absolutely ages. It's just been sat at the bottom of this box with all my other projects on top of it. But I thought I would just grab it out and share it, because it deserves some love, and it is gorgeous, and it needs more progress on it, and it was getting to a really decent size. So here it is so far. I can't see what you can see, but yeah, it was getting to a really decent size. I don't know how well it comes across on the camera, but as you can see, I'm kind of doing, my lines are all going in slightly different directions. I have a pattern planned out, so it will work. That was an accident. Originally, I'd planned to do it in the same way that these ones work, that the lines all go in the same direction. But when I started it, I was very new to mitered squares. I didn't really know what it was doing. And quite early on, I managed to pick up a square in the wrong direction and have the line going the wrong way. And at that point, mitered squares took me forever to do. And I hated picking up stitches. And I really, really didn't want to rip it out. So I just kind of went with it and didn't worry too much about it. And then I got to a point where I was like, right, okay, I need to either accept that I'm going to have one pointing in the wrong direction, or I need to commit to this and make it a thing. So I decided to make it a thing, which is what I'm doing. So in the end, my lines, you know what I mean, will all form a symmetrical pattern coming out from the centre. The centre is where that stitch marker is. So yeah, they will form a symmetrical pattern coming out from the centre. But it does mean a bit more thinking and a bit more thought, but I have now planned it out. So it's not quite that bad, because I can just look and I can just be like, right, okay, I'm doing that square now, so it needs to go in that direction. I'm doing that square, it needs to go in that direction. And yeah, and it does mean that occasionally I get squares that need seaming. Like obviously here, I've not actually seamed those two together yet, but in order to get those lines to go in the right direction, those two will need seaming, because I wasn't able to kind of pick them up to get the line to go in the direction that I needed it to go, if that makes sense. But it's really easy to just mattress stitch them together, and it's not noticeable at all from the front. And on the back, you can just about tell which ones, I'm just trying to see if it's visible somewhere. Yeah, so you can just about tell which ones have been mattress stitched and which ones have been picked up. So as you can see, this one's been picked up because it's got a bit of a ridge, whereas these two here have been mattress stitched together, so there's a lot less visible of a ridge. And then once again, this one here has been picked up because you've got more of a ridge where the stitches have been picked up. But, you know, from a distance, you couldn't even really notice which ones have had which. But yeah, so that is my Cozy Memories blanket, which I really do love. And yeah, I want to work on it more. So we will see. It will get finished one day. But as I said, blankets like this are always a long-term project and a long-term commitment. And I don't have an end date for when this is going to finish. If this isn't finished until 10 years time, then, well, maybe that might be a little bit long. But if it isn't finished in the next 5 years, then I won't be overly upset. It's just a really nice, comforting project to work on when I get the chance. Right. What's next? Yarny Goodness. My nose. Oh, I think my Cozy Memories blanket is a little bit dusty because it's been sat in the bottom of this box. And when I took it out from the bottom of this box, there was so much dust like around the bottom of the box. So yeah, I think it's a little bit dusty, and having opened it up and shaken it off, it's now making my nose all tickly. Oh, right. Yarny Goodness. I do have a bit of Yarny Goodness to share. A couple of things arrived in the last week or so. So first off is my mystery gem from the lovely Gemma at The Little Grey Girl. Again, if you've followed for a while, you'll know that this is a regular thing that I sign up for. Gem runs a quarterly mystery gem club, and each quarter you get a mood board, and this is the mood board. This was the Let's Get Away edition. So this was the mood board for this edition, and she teams up with a yarn dyer. So Gem has a fabric and she makes a bag. That's really funny. She's literally just messaged me. I've just seen a WhatsApp from her pop up on the screen as I'm talking to you right now. She picks a fabric. She then sends that fabric to a yarn dyer, and the yarn dyer will dye a yarn using the fabric and the mood board as inspiration behind the colourway. So the Let's Get Away edition, this is the gorgeous bag, and I just love this fabric. That's such fun fabric. It's a really nice sized bag as well. This is one of my favourite sizes of Gem's bags. I use these ones constantly, although amusingly, I'm not using a single one. Oh no, I guess I am. That's one of Gemma's bags. I am using one of her bags today. But yeah, that's the fabric. And then the yarn dyer for this edition was the lovely Claire and John behind Bird Street UK. And this is the yarn that they came up with. Isn't this gorgeous? Absolutely gorgeous. I love this. Yeah, really fun. It just feels really kind of holiday, travel, seaside as well. And they've called it Getaway. So that is this mystery gem. And then the other thing that arrived this week is, of course, the music from the movies Yarn Club by Craft House Magic, because I've been signing up to this one this year because I am enjoying it so much. I've yet to knit any of it up, but I'm loving the colourways that Ellie is coming up with. And this is this month's colourway. Isn't this stunning? This one is inspired by The Never-Ending Story. So basically she's picking songs from films, because a lot of Ellie's colourways are inspired by music and songs. And she's been picking songs from films, and films that have kind of distinctive songs to them, and using those for the inspiration behind the colourway. So The Never-Ending Story had a song. I don't think, do you know, isn't that dreadful? I don't think I've ever watched The Never-Ending Story. I have vague memories of watching some of it as a kid, but never actually being able to watch all of it. Maybe I'll have to try it with my boys at the moment. Arthur is really enjoying at the moment watching films. It's taken a long time to get him into watching films. He's always struggled with them. But he now has what we call grown-up time. So Jasper goes to bed at 7 and then Arthur goes to bed at 8. And during that hour, he has what we refer to it as grown-up time, where basically he is allowed to watch a bit of a film, or he is allowed to, we'll do other activities with him. Like sometimes we'll play games, sometimes he'll just do some colouring. But he's been really enjoying watching films. And I think because we're doing it in shorter bursts, So like by the time he's settled down, he only gets about half an hour, 40 minutes or something of a film. And I think he's finding that easier. He can't sit through a 2-hour film. It's just too much for him. But he's really enjoying the 40 minutes. So we've been introducing him to some of the films that we really like. And that's been quite nice. So maybe we'll try Neverending Story with him at some point. Anyway, tangent again. But yeah, gorgeous yarn from Craft House Magic. This is going to get tucked away with the other ones. And then at some point, I am going to knit these all up into socks and just have a whole collection of movie socks. Okay, that's all the yarny crafty stuff. I did have a couple of shop news bits and pieces to share with you. So first off, let's just say about EU stuff. I have absolutely no idea right at this second what I am doing about the new EU VAT changes. There's a number of options and unfortunately it's all still up in the air and nobody seems to know really what's happening. Basically, from the 1st of July, there will be no minimum limit for VAT charges. So where at the moment, if you order a product or order something that costs less than 22 euros, you don't get customs charges, you don't get VAT, you don't get handling fees, it just passes through customs, no worries. Which I know a few of my club members are doing with my mini skeins. But from the 1st of July, that minimum limit is no longer going to apply and VAT will be payable on everything under 150 euros. I am not VAT registered in the UK. I don't turn over that amount of income to be VAT registered in the UK, which I think makes things even more complicated. There is apparently going to be some way of signing up for EU VAT and collecting it at point of sale, but at the moment that doesn't seem to be possible. There is one person, like one company, that will do it. You have to sign up as with an intermediary. You can't just sign up directly to do it. And there's 2 intermediaries. One of them charges like £2,000 a year, which is completely impossible for me. The other one, it sounds like it's done on a parcel by parcel basis. So it's like £2 per parcel, which is fine because I could roll that into shipping costs. But they don't integrate with Shopify currently. So there's no way of me actually collecting the VAT on what you order and doing that way. So at the moment, it's all ridiculously complicated. There's a possibility of setting up another Etsy shop. I closed my Etsy shop, so I would have to start from scratch with an Etsy shop. And honestly, I really don't want to do that because not only is it complicated in that I have to start a new Etsy shop and manage an Etsy shop, I would not be able to put all my listings on Etsy. So it would be a case of anybody in the EU contacting me and saying, I want to purchase this, and then me listing that for them specifically in Etsy. But Etsy take about 15% in fees. So I would need to charge more for any products that go into Etsy, plus the fact that you'd still have to pay VAT, although that would be payable through Etsy. So I don't know. At the moment, I'm toying with the option of either just leaving it as it is, which means that unfortunately you still have to pay VAT and everything when you get your parcels in Europe, or temporarily disabling EU sales until we know more. I have been in contact with a local business support group who are trying to put me in touch with an EU VAT accountant. So they might be able to give me a little bit more information about what I can do. But to be honest, it sounds like nobody knows what's happening at the moment. I will be in contact with all of my club customers who are based in the EU. I will be in touch with you all before I make any decisions this week. I'll send you all individual emails so that you kind of know what your options are if you want to continue with the club or you don't want to continue with the club, or all of that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's the complicated things that the wonders of Brexit has added to us. And unfortunately, everything is geared for big businesses who have their own accountancy firms and accountancy teams, and they just don't necessarily consider the smaller businesses who also send things to the EU but are not big enough to benefit from any of the amazing money-making schemes that are in place. Anyway, exciting news though. On the 1st of July, The charity collaboration will be launching. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you will know that I have coordinated for the last 2 years. I think this is the 3rd year I've done it. For the last 2 years, I've coordinated a charity 12 Days of Christmas. There's been 12 UK dyers, and you get a 20-gram mini from each of those UK dyers, and roughly 25% of the profits goes to charity. And they've been a massive success, really, really popular, and I've loved putting them together. We are doing very similar again this year, but it is bigger and it is better. So this year we are offering a full advent calendar, 10-gram mini skeins from 24 different UK-based dyers. I've got some amazing dyers. I will be putting details on social media and everything like that. And if you were signed up for my newsletter, you will have had a newsletter telling you all of the dyers as well. I would go through them all now, but I will probably forget some because I struggled to remember when we had 12 and we've now got 24. So yeah, I will probably forget. So I won't go through them all right now. But there are an amazing group of dyers and I am so excited. This year we have picked books as a theme. So each dyer will be dyeing up a colourway that is themed by their favourite character or their favourite story or their favourite book, or something along those themes. And I really like that because I feel like it's going to really be able to represent all the different dyers and all their styles and brands and everything like that. So it will be, the pre-orders will go live on the 1st of July. The boxes will ship in October. And each box will contain the minis. There'll be a few little extra treats and stuff like that. And I think they are going to be retailing for £70. I think. I can't quite remember. I've got the details written down, but not in front of me because that was too organised. Yeah. We are offering 50 this year. Last year we offered 30 boxes and they sold out in 3 minutes. And I got some really grumpy emails from people who didn't get them and got carjacked. So I will say that I have no control over carjacking. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that at the moment there is no system put in place that I can put in place on my website to prevent it. It basically comes down to fastest finger first. I'm hoping with 50 boxes that won't happen this year because there's more there and there's more available. But you know, be prepared. That's all I'm saying. The best things, my tips for avoiding carjacking are log on to the website beforehand. If you've got an account created on my website, then make sure that you're already logged in. If you're going to be paying through PayPal, then make sure that, like, open up your PayPal on a separate tab and make sure you're already logged into PayPal as well, so that when you go to purchase, you will just be able to go straight through without having to log into everything. And that speeds up your checkout, basically. But yeah, just be prepared. Set yourself an alarm. It is an amazing collaboration, and at the moment we hope to be raising around now, let me think, it was going to be, to be honest, we're looking at probably raising around £900 for charity. A couple of the dyers have been super generous and they have donated not just their portion of the profits. So each dyer, the way it works generally is that each dyer donates 25% of the cost of the yarn, of the retail cost of the yarn for the minis, if that makes sense. My brain is not working on it. So basically 25% of the cost of the yarn goes to the charity. So it works out at roughly 25% of the boxes, but there's a little bit extra added on top for packaging and things like that, which it doesn't work to take the money off anyway. What am I trying to say? But a couple of the dyers have been really generous, and they have they've basically donated their yarn entirely. They are taking nothing from the sales at all, and their entire proportion of the minis will be donated to charity, which actually adds to nearly £100 for each of those dyers. So we are looking at probably just over £900 at the moment being donated to charity, which is absolutely fantastic. And it's going to 3 different charities. It will be going to Action for Children. It will be going to Re-engage, which was formerly known as Contact the Elderly, and they've changed their system slightly over the last year, and it's very much about helping prevent isolation. And they have a lot of kind of obviously the way they've had to change the way they do things a lot because of COVID, but they provide kind of telephone companions and things like that to help prevent elderly people becoming isolated and lonely when they don't have family around them. And we've also, the third charity is Shelter as well. I picked those charities originally 3 years ago because I really wanted charities that would support people who would find Christmas a really challenging time. So children who aren't in the most stable of families, elderly people who don't have family around them, and also people who don't have homes, basically, homeless people who don't have that kind of home and stable environment, which, family and Christmas is kind of all about, basically. So yeah, it's a collaboration that I am very excited about. I am very proud of it. It's something that I've worked really hard to put together, and I'm really excited to be able to see it grow this year. And hopefully it'll all work out and it'll all sell the same as normal, and I just get so worried about these things not happening. But everything should be in place, and the listings will be going live at 8 p.m. on July the 1st. And I'm so sorry that I've rambled about it so much, but yeah, my brain is just not in the headspace for being succinct. I will be posting on social media over the next week or so, giving information about it, and all the details will be able to be found about it then as well. But yep, set your alarm for shortly before 8 p.m. on the 1st of July, because that is when the listings will be going live. Right, I'm going to stop rambling randomly at you all, and I will see you all again in probably 2 weeks' time. As I said, I don't think I'll be able to record next week, but hopefully I will be able to record the week after. Possibly, I don't know which house I will be in. I'm not sure. We will see. But yeah, I will talk to you all very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and see you soon. Bye.